Hello everybody, this is Joanne speaking here, and welcome to another big Godzilla video. So back in January 2024, I posted a video where I talked about my thoughts on Godzilla Minus One, and Jiminy freaking crickets! This video gained a lot of attention, and in a short amount of time, too. I knew that Godzilla is a popular topic, especially with what's going on right now, but holy crap! It's extremely rare for a video of mine to get so much attention so freaking quickly. And I gotta say, this is phenomenal, and it's nice to see that you guys were interested in what I had to say about Godzilla Minus One, so thank you guys so much. I normally do dinosaur/Jurassic Park related content, but I'm a Godzilla fan as well, so why not do something different every once in a while? Sometime after I posted this video, I was contacted by a Godzilla YouTuber known as Omni-Viewer in the comments below. Maybe there's some of you guys out there who are familiar with this guy. He spoke to me about an event he hosts called Monstrous Moment. To keep it short on what that is, you talk about a scene from any kaiju related media and you explain why the scene caught your attention. It could be a favorite scene or just a scene in general. At first, I was a little hesitant because during that time I was occupied with making my big video that had to start episode 11. But then when I saw that I had a lot of time to prepare before the deadline and I was finishing my big video sooner than I thought, I decided to happily participate. After lots of thinking and deciding on what to pick, I ultimately decided that my one monstrous moment would be the ending to Godzilla vs. Destoroyah from 1995, particularly the scene going from the death of Godzilla to the rebirth of Godzilla Jr. There's a lot for me to talk about, so let's dive in. Obviously, poor Godzilla was going through a catastrophic crisis. He's dying, and he just watched his own son die in front of his eyes. Not only that, but Destoroyah also taunts and tortures Godzilla. What a massive butthole this giant crab was. Then, unfortunately, shortly after Destoroyah met his demise, Godzilla ended up dying as well. And just when the future seems so grim, Godzilla Jr. comes back as a full-on adult Godzilla, taking his father's place, and the movie cuts to a close before anything else happens. I chose this scene from the movie as my one monstrous moment, and the reason why is because, well, just like it did with a lot of Godzilla fans around the world, it left me shaken and crying. This was the moment where we reached the ultimate endgame for Godzilla, so the movie wanted to go out with a bang. And then the United States made an attempt to do a Godzilla film, and Toho was like, fine, we'll do it ourselves. Godzilla is more than just a rampaging monster. He may not be a human being or a normal animal, but he had feelings just like us and the other humans in the movies. Just like what happened to the first Godzilla, he also suffered, leading to what he was until his death. I also liked how, in the end, despite Godzilla dying, the movie shows that even in death, he still lives on through his legacy and through the rebirth of his son, Jr. Heck, I believe he also lives on in the hearts of all the Godzilla fans around the world. There's more to analyze/discuss, including the return of Godzilla Jr., and I'm going to split my discussion into 3 big parts. I'm not going to go too crazy, so I'm going to try to keep my explanations as simple as I can. We all know that the death of Godzilla was really sad, but in my eyes, it is worse than I thought when I dove a bit deeper. While Godzilla dying was sad, the way he went though is disturbing as heck to look at, because you're basically watching pieces of his skin and flesh peeling off his face, and falling off his body as well, to where you can see his bones. Obviously nothing natural about melting into molten bits and pieces there. Godzilla's mindset is also extremely depressing to imagine too. He's not only in catastrophic agony from his body burning up inside him, but he just suffered a parent's worst nightmare, losing his son Jr. because of Destoroyah. Jr.'s death may have been avenged, but Godzilla in his mind thought that he lost his son, which further adds more salt to his wounds. So he pretty much died with no family beside him. And normally Godzilla would destroy the military vehicles like they were nothing when he's being shot at, but here he did nothing to fight back because he was suffering and waiting for his own death. One little detail I noticed with the scene with Godzilla melting would be the sparkles flying around. Remember Rodan's death in the Mechagodzilla 2 movie with the sparkles flying around? Well, the same thing was happening with Godzilla as well when he himself was dying. Seeing these sparkles made me think that there's not just radiation leaking from Godzilla's body into the atmosphere, but also his life force. If this is true, then Godzilla must have used his dying moment to have his son rise again, just like when Rodan used his dying moment to revive and heal Godzilla. I've seen fans speculate this, and I think I can see why now. I will be talking about Junior coming back to life in a bit, so bear with me. Still, no parent, not even Godzilla, should have to watch their child suffer. Any parent can understand this kind of pain, and the music during this whole thing was very somber. I couldn't even hold back my tears during this whole thing. This music really serves well as the ultimate funeral music for Godzilla. You think the human characters would be like, "Yippee! We saved Tokyo from Godzilla forever this time. Problem solved." Nope. I find it interesting that in the other Heisei films, some human characters have been wanting Godzilla dead and calling him a monster. But then when it comes to this moment in particular, there was no celebration. Most of everyone was quiet. They actually felt sorry for Godzilla during this moment as they watched him die an awful death. When Godzilla finally passed on, they were just like, "Yep, we screwed up." Because of nuclear weapons, there were consequences, and Godzilla was one of them. But he was the biggest highlight of those consequences. We've already seen him cause destruction in the other films, but another thing to keep in mind is that even in death, he still served as a consequence because when he died, he left Tokyo as a wasteland. Humanity may have saved Earth and the planet still has a future to walk towards. No one's above consequences for their actions here. Last but certainly not least, the rebirth of Godzilla Jr. Jr. coming back to life made me feel happy, and my tears of sadness became tears of joy. But dang, the way this scene was shot at the end kinda sent chills down my spine. This scene alone had a relieving feeling because obviously we all thought Jr. was gone forever, but then he came back. However, the way this movie showed this final scene was a little ominous. I'm saying this because everything was quiet, no background music. Just atmosphere and the sound of Junior's roar echoing into the night before the movie fades to black. When I look at how the movie ended in a quiet manner, especially with the camera zooming in to where Junior was standing, I like to see this as a way of this movie saying, well, what's going to happen now? What's the future going to be like now? Because of stuff that has happened with Godzilla, it was left to wonder what Godzilla Jr. would ultimately be like now that he has taken his father's place. Unless you want to count Gemstone Godzilla from the animated shorts, but I'm talking about Destroy's movie in general. Because Junior had a different background compared to his father and was more friendly to humans, the movie does leave you wondering if Junior would be more of a peaceful kaiju. I like to see this ending as a way for the movie to encourage open interpretation for the audience. Again, unless you want to count Gemstone Godzilla. And I almost forgot. Can you imagine Junior's mindset during this scene? The last thing he remembered before closing his eyes was his father standing right beside him, begging for his son to stay with him. Then the next thing he knew, he's awakened in new form and no longer in pain from when Destroyer broke all of his bones from dropping him in a building. I also can imagine him being confused in this scene because he must be wondering why his father is no longer in his sight. Although, if he did in fact caught on to what his father was going through during the reunion before Destroyer ruined it, I am sure poor Junior would have figured out what happened before he woke up and would naturally need some time to grieve. Godzilla may be gone, but through his son, his legacy will live on. And there you have it. That was my one monstrous moment. Godzilla vs. Destroyer was a well-made movie, but you need all the tissues in the world for this one, and for a very good reason, obviously. Regardless of all the sadness, it was a perfect wrap-up for the Heisei era. Thank you guys so much for watching, and special thanks to Omni-Viewer for giving me this fun opportunity. If you guys want to, feel free to check out Omni-Viewer and his content. I'll catch you all later in another video. But Destroyer also taunts and tortures Godzilla. What a massive butthole this giant crab was. What a massive butthole this giant crab was.